Tibet. I know you guys are a big fan of stories, so today I'm going to read the story of Passover or Pesach. I know that you guys have already heard the story when we learned about the Exodus story, but this is the whole story in one book. And also, I know you guys love to listen to stories, so here we go. This book is called The Story of Passover. Can you guess who that is on the front cover, splitting the sea? I bet you already know. The story of Passover begins more than 3,000 years ago, when Jacob and his family settled in Egypt. Jacob, or Yaakov, was also called Israel, or Yisrael. So all of his children were called the children of Israel. They were also sometimes called Hebrews because of the language they spoke. Many years passed, and Jacob and all of his children had passed away. To the Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, the children of Israel were outsiders. He was afraid that one day they would rebel. That means they would fight against him and try to kick him out. He made them work as slaves in order to control them. He forced them to do hard work all day. They had to work all day. They weren't allowed any breaks. They were treated as slaves. The wise men of Egypt told Pharaoh that one day a Hebrew boy would be born who would lead his people up against Egypt. They couldn't tell him which boy it would be, so the Pharaoh decreed that every newborn Hebrew boy would be thrown in the river. One boy was saved. At first, his mother hid him, and then when he grew too big to hide, she put him in a small basket. She put the basket in the river. The baby's sister Miriam hid nearby to see what would happen. A princess, the Pharaoh's daughter, found the baby. She named him Moses, or Moshe, and planned to raise him as her own child. That's the basket that he's floating on, and there's his sister Miriam, who watches him to make sure that he stays safe. Miriam ran to get her. "Should I get you someone who can help you with the baby?" "Yes," said the princess. "Please find me someone who can help." And who does she find? Miriam brought the baby's mother to work in the palace and her own mother. So Moses got to grow up being taken care of by his own mother. Moses was adopted by the princess, but he always knew that he was one of the children of Israel. He always knew he was Jewish. When he was a young man, he saw an Egyptian beating a slave, and Moses attacked the Egyptian because he felt he knew he was Jewish, so he didn't like seeing that his people were being hurt, even though he was technically the prince. Moses settled far away from Egypt, and he married and he worked as a shepherd. That means he took care of sheep, like these sheep. One day, while Moses was watching his sheep, he saw a burning bush. There were flames, but the bush was not harmed. "Moses, Moses," called a voice from the bush. "Yes, here I am." Remember we said that Moses took off his shoes because it was a holy place? Here in the picture, he's not wearing any shoes, you can see. God spoke to Moses from the burning bush. He told Moses to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. Moses and his older brother Aaron, or Aaron, went to the Pharaoh. They asked him to let the children of Israel go free. The Pharaoh refused. He forced the children of Israel to work even harder. Moses and Aaron warned him that if he didn't let the Hebrews go, the waters of Egypt would turn to blood. The Pharaoh refused, and the waters turned to blood. That was the first plague to strike Egypt. There were 10 in total. Frogs covered the land. Remember, those were really loud frogs that were super annoying, but they listened. So when Moses told them to stop, they stopped. And a thick cloud of lice swarmed all over Egypt. Animals ran wild, and the Egyptians' cattle became terribly sick and died. painful boils and itchy boils broke out on the skin of the Egyptians, and huge hail, ice, mixed with fire, fell on the land from the sky. A swarm of locusts, bugs, attacked Egypt, and then it was dark as night in the middle of the day. Then came the 10th plague. One by one, the firstborn Egyptian sons died. The angel of death only visited the homes of the Egyptians. He passed over all the houses in Israel. You can see the picture. They painted the lamb's blood on their doorframe to tell the angel of death not to go inside, because those were the Jewish people's houses. They passed over. That's where the word Passover comes from. And when they were inside, they were eating the lamb, and that's known to be the first Seder. The Pharaoh was frightened. He was also a firstborn son. He called for Moses and Aaron and said, "Leave now. Go quickly before we all die." The children of Israel left that very night. The next day, the Pharaoh had a change of heart. He and his army chased after the former slaves. The Pharaoh's soldiers had horses, and their chariots were getting closer and closer to the children of Israel. The Red Sea was in front of them, and the soldiers were behind them. They were trapped. God told Moses to lift his stick and to spread his hands over the sea. Moses did, and the sea divided. The children of Israel walked through the sea to dry land. That's the same picture of as the cover. So if you said that that is Moses, you are absolutely right. That is Moses leading the children of Israel to dry land. The Pharaoh's army followed them, but when the soldiers were in the middle of the sea, Moses raised his stick again, and the waters came back together. On Passover, Jewish people all over the world celebrate their freedom and their beginnings as a great nation. That's the end of the story for now. So that's the story of Passover. I have a couple activities in the next videos, so check them out. I will see you again soon. Bye.